So today I have a special guest. Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Cassie. Good to be here. My name is Chris Bronstorp, and I am the husband of Cassie Meyer.
The husband of.
I'm also an avid adventure bike rider, and fortunate to be able to ride with her.
Excellent. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being the husband of.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Welcome to Two Track and Tarmac, a podcast dedicated to the adventure motorcycle rider, the rider who frequents both the street and the trails, on the quest to answer the ever-burning question, I wonder where that road goes. I'm your host, Cassie Meyer. I own and operate Clearmoto Motorcycle Rider Training. I've been a professional coach since 2019. My goal with this podcast is to bring a female's perspective to the adventure rider segment, the motorcycle community, and the industry. The views and opinions expressed on Two Track and Tarmac are those of the talent and guests alone, and may not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization. The content provided is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We will be discussing motorcycle-related topics, which may include riding techniques and suggestions. Two Track and Tarmac is not responsible for any injuries, damages, or losses that you may experience when acting on your own. In this episode, I thought it would be a lot of fun to bring my husband, Chris, into the conversation. The episode just before this, Adventure Riding with Your Romantic Partner, was all about communication, different riding levels, trust, respect, how you build that pathways for success. And Chris and I have been riding together for about 7 years, which is really the length of our relationship. So I thought it would be a blast for us to communicate about how each of us experiences riding with our romantic partner. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Chris Bronstorp, and I am your husband, obviously. And I've been an avid adventure bike rider now for, close to 10 years, and actually 11 years now. And also run and operate a BMW motorcycle dealership. So I'm in front of motorcycles on a professional basis as well. And I think this is going to be great to be able to talk about our adventures together and how we circumnavigate those and how we handle our emotions and handle our challenges and really have a blast doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So a quick little side note, Chris and I actually met each other at a motorcycle show. Mm-hmm. And I was working the event and Chris was attending the event. Mm-hmm. He introduced himself. We went to dinner. We played a couple of rounds of pool, mm-hmm. and we've been together ever since. And I actually bought my first R1250 GS from you. Mm-hmm. And that's really where like the adventure riding kicked off. I was already doing adventure riding because I was working at the BMW US Rider Academy at the time when he and I had met. And so I was doing a ton of off-road training on those big bikes. But when I moved out to New Mexico, I actually bought the bike before I even moved here. So we have been adventure riding together since day one.
Yeah.
And you started adventure riding when? What's your adventure riding beginning story?
Oh, I started adventure riding when I won a adventure riding training event to Rawhide Adventures. And the first time on an adventure bike, I'd never been on dirt bikes or anything before. No motorcycle and dirt experience. And I won this opportunity to go to this training school, and it totally changed my life to be able to take an adventure bike and take it off-road. And it just really reminded me of the time growing up and riding BMX bikes. And it just clicked right there, and I just fell in love with it, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, it's been really fun to be able to share this with you. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you and I have both grown a lot from where we started, not only in our relationship, but also in our riding skills. Mm-hmm. You know, you go back 7 years, and I had only just started adventure riding. So I've been adventure riding for 8 years. You've been at it for about 11. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we've been able to grow up in it together.
It's been great.
Has been.
And the best thing about that too is it's really given us really detailed time of how you and I work together, and seeing our, our, I don't want to say plus and minuses, but our skill levels and also our emotional places to really be able to balance and communicate good with each other.
Yeah.
And so we can support each other and motivate each other, and also call each other out when we are in a not so great situation. And but we respect each other so much in that, to where when those moments do occur, we're able to calm down and listen and really just take it in, and then have the conversation about it. And the communication has been the key.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the communication that we've had to learn out on the trail has helped us in our day-to-day lives with communication as well. There was a period there for both of us where communication really broke down, and it's gotten better with a lot of effort on both of our parts.
For sure.
And it really has just gotten so much better. For example, the thing I think of as of recently is we did this hill here in the Albuquerque Santa Fe area, and it's called La Bajada Hill. And it is original part of the Route 66, but is a really steep switchback section where you're coming off of the mesa and down into this valley. And it hasn't been maintained since 1932? No.
47.
47. I think it opened in...
It was only open for like 11 years.
Yeah, so 1926 is when it opened. Yeah. So either way, hasn't been maintained for a long time. And so it was a gnarly, nasty ride.
Yeah.
You and I actually rode it in the morning and then came back up. And then I was helping out with the event. So I rode back down to the bottom just to help, people get turned around if they needed it. And on my way back up, I ended up kind of coming out of the saddle. I was feeling really good, and I just ended up hitting a rock just right, and it launched me. And I was at the very bottom of the hill. The rest of the hill was really challenging for me. I was by myself. Chris was at the top, and I got to a section where I told myself, like, whatever you do, don't stop. And then I did. I did stop. I just lost momentum. I just knew I was going too slow.
The purpose, it was really rocky, and really, I mean,
it was tough.
Yeah, you have to be on your game on that road.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I went down. I got frustrated. I walked away. I took a second. Of course, I could see Chris. He could see me. He was way up there. I had 2 switchbacks left, I think, or 1 switchback left.
I think 2 switchbacks.
Yeah. And so I have this tendency to get pretty explosive when I need to let off steam. And I got going again, and I came around this corner on the switchback, and I was literally an inch too wide for that turn because there was a boulder on the side. And right as I had straightened up and was going to start attacking this last uphill, my cylinder head, or actually my engine guards, hit the rock. And there's a video of it, and you can hear the ting. And I end up going down, and I did my little explosive release of steam, and I did a big girl version of a toddler scream, and kind of stormed away from the bike and all that. And Chris just calmly walked down. And we've gotten to a place where he knows that that's just how I need to do it. And I know that he's not going to judge me for it. He's not going to bark at me for that. Like, thing is, if I don't let off that steam, I'll hold on to it. And that's taken us years to just get to that place of knowing that, like, that's how I do things, and knowing that you're going to come and help me out if I want it. And yeah, so it's what's interesting to figure out where our buttons are pushed and where not to push them, and also when to say the right thing, and when to say things and when not to say things. Totally.
And because it's really important in those situations for your partner to remain calm, because if I come down there in I don't want to say hostile attitude or a wound up attitude of any way, and then trying to correct you or saying, hey, well, why did you move away from that rock? Or why did you do that? Why'd you do it like that? But that's not helpful in any way.
Right.
That's just going to escalate the situation and make it worse for you.
Yeah.
And so it's my job in this, it took time for us to learn this about each other. But I knew I just needed to remain calm, come down, and just be there for you, and just be there and let you tell me what you needed. And, and that was it. I'm, I'm just there to help, I'm there to support. And to be able to know how to support your partner in those situations takes time. It takes work to figure it out. It takes experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And because those situations, everybody reacts differently, right? And so in those situations, you have to understand where your partner is going to go mentally, verbally, whatever. And you just need to be able to support that in however you can.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it just takes conversations and things. We've had hundreds of those conversations in the past to where, I know you're going to be okay. I know you got this. I know you can pick the bike up, and I'm not going to run and try to save you from the situation. I'm just going to better support you in what you need in that situation.
Yeah.
And because even when that first rock you hit and went down, you dropped the bike. It was going really slow. It was just a simple drop. But at that point, I knew you're exhausted because I saw numerous other people before that try it, and you're like the fourth person that stopped at that exact same spot.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And there was two other guys before you did the same thing.
Okay.
And they dropped the bike at that spot, and they're just exhausted. Literally sat there for about 5-10 minutes trying to gain their energy back. And you just relaxed, and I just, you did okay. You're like, yep, okay. And I just stood there waiting. If you needed me, you'd be like, I need your help. Okay, well, on my way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it brings up another story I want to bring up too. It's really funny especially in the training events we've been at and things when we're off road or in a tour of some sort, and I think it's mainly happened at training events, and you've dropped your bike in a certain situation, and there's numerous people standing around like watching, because we're all in a class of some sort.
Yeah.
And you drop your bike, and then like 5 guys just run towards you, like just in a panic. And I'm just standing there laughing. It's like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to run to her right now. That's not a good idea, And because like she's got it, she's fine. She's going to tell you she has it when you get there. And I just always thought that was funny, but that was just after our experience. And they just know, and they're just being helpful. Right?
Yeah.
They're just doing what they would do for anybody. But I like that non-communicative knowing of each other to where if we're in a situation or we're watching, it's like, no, she's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, she needs help right now.
Yeah.
And and usually we're on comms in those situations too. So we'll tell each other what space we're in. Be like, you know what, I'm really tired. I need you to get the bike for me. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Because you've been there for me many times too, where like I'm in a rush or I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to get up this really difficult, terrain or situation, and I'm just working my ass off to get up it, and just keep failing or keep dropping, or it's just not working. And you tell me, hey, why don't you take a second? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a really nice balance we have. That communication is so key.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that's been vital for our success in the adventure riding segment is who each of us is when we come to that relationship, right? Like out on the trail, is that you are naturally the calmer of us. Between the two of us, you're definitely just calmer, you're collected. I'm just saying, like, as a person, I'm more excitable. And I think you've probably talked me off the edge more. But it has been interesting too, because like on the trail, there are times where you rush and I'm like, whoa, slow it down. And I think that also comes into play because I'm a coach. And so I'm like, whoop, let's take a breather. Like you rush into this and you're going to end up zapping your energy. And
I've had to use that. You're right. In that situation, I had to do the opposite as well, to where like other people were in that same situation, and they're all rushing and they're trying to push the bike up and try to get out of it. It's like, hey, and I walk over towards them. It's like, everybody, let's just remain calm for a minute. Just calm down. Just relax. Take a breather. Bike's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. There's not a finish line over there.
Right.
And just so that way we're just not, because that's when people get hurt, and that's when people get exhausted.
Yeah.
And to the rest of the day is even more challenging.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole balance. You got to look at everything, look at the whole situation.
And I would say you and I have ridden some tough stuff. And we've been through some things that have just left us completely exhausted.
Yeah.
We were frustrated or whatever. And even if it takes us, a day to come down from whatever that experience was, we have that shared experience. And I think it's just made us stronger. And it has continued to make knowing each other and knowing how to read each other and knowing how far we can push it or when we need to maybe reassess.
Yeah.
And I think that's that time and exposure. And there have been times where we've like gone in too far and we have to get out.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens for me, and I'd be curious what your take is on this, because there's two in particular that I think of where I was in a position where I just didn't have the strength or the energy anymore. And I had to call on you or other riders to help get through. And I don't have any pride in that. However, I understand that asking someone else to do it twice is zapping their energy. And when we're in these situations, that can get really scary and that can get really dangerous really fast. And so the first one I think of was when we went and did Lockhart Basin.
Yeah.
And that was bad.
And I had asked for help on that one too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really tough. That was a big group. So it was kind of nice to be able to like spread the love as far as, and everyone helped each other out on that.
Yeah. We were with a really good group of people.
We were. But I think a Lockhart Basin of just, it's so important for me as a rider, and this is just me personally, of I need to be able to get through the things that I'm faced with. I can't always. And that's where I do lean on you. And then the other one that I think of is when we were scouting in the Arizona, New Mexico border, and we ended up in a pretty bad pickle on that one.
Yeah.
And I needed you and our friend to help get my bike up because I had just lost the energy. And that was also, that moment was, we didn't know how much further we had to go. We didn't know how much worse it was going to get. Fortunately, that was the last crux of that ride. I was starting to fall apart earlier in that particular ride. And I remember just falling and getting really frustrated because I was just slightly behind the bike and I was crying. And you have this way of being there for me in a really supportive, but like quiet way. Like you're just like, I'm here if you need me. And I love that. I absolutely love that about you. And because I am the kind of person who wants so badly to be able to do it myself, but I also understand that I can't ask you to get me through every section that was hard on that trail. Like we would have gotten into a dangerous section or a dangerous situation had I asked you to do everything for me. So it's nice that I can feel comfortable enough to be able to break down and to cry. And that I just need to let it out and that I will, pull myself up by my bootstraps. And you just have this really nice, comforting, quiet way of supporting me.
Mm.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's what I love about this stuff that we do, taking these adventure bikes into places to where they probably shouldn't be going at certain times. It's such a challenging, it's not just the skill of riding the bike in these situations, but it's the mental challenges of getting you through it. And you wouldn't know that unless you were in it. That day we scouted that one trail that was only 27 miles, and it took us 8 hours, 7-8 hours to get through it.
Yeah.
At first hill getting up it should have been the first sign.
That
took us an hour and a half just to get up that. I
know,
think.
But you and I actually discussed that. You and I were like, should we turn around? I think if we hadn't had that third rider with us,
yes,
we would have turned around.
Turned around. Yeah, lucky enough we had a good friend of ours that was an excellent rider, and we trusted him, and it really made it more comfortable for us. But for how hard that day was, I'm so glad we did it. Because it just, number one, it tested our skills as riders in the first place.
Yeah.
But also tested our will and our mentality of challenging ourselves and being able to know when to stop and take a break, when to relax, when to actually think about what we're going up, actually walk the trail, not just hit it and go for it. Like, no, we should go look what's around that corner before we go around it.
I think I walked 4 miles that day on that trail.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. But, it was a challenging trail. It was challenging stuff. And the thing is that just, we want to go explore, beautiful parts of this country and anywhere else in these big bikes. And we know we've been in situations like this, and now we know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And we know where our mentality needs to be. And we know how to support each other through it.
Yeah.
So it's just there's nothing else that can grow us as humans and as partners, even, more so. It just grows us so much, it connects us so much more when we go through those things together.
Yeah, because it's the hardship.
Yeah.
It's the hardships that you have to experience together, right? And I'm with you. Would I ever want to do that trail again? Never. But was it, looking back? Yeah, it really did bring you and I together.
Yeah.
I think probably more so, and maybe it's just because it's the most recent, really hard thing that we've done. My guess is that every hard thing that we've done has brought us closer and closer. It's just that this one was the last one that we did.
Yeah.
And
we had to be vulnerable in it too. You really had to check yourself.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great.
Well, I mean, it was even like, for example, we had that section where we started and stopped, and you ended up taking your backpack off, your water bladder off, and put it down, and then we rode away. And then, we fortunately
stopped like shortly after that for water, and we sat there. We had to fix a tire or fix
cylinder head.
The cylinder head had cracked open. Had to fix that. So we were there for a good hour, and then after that, we're like, "Well, where's my backpack?" And
the thing that was scary was that our truck keys were in that backpack.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly remember how the exchange went. I'm not even sure if I said that I was going to go and walk back up there, or if I just started walking.
You just started walking up.
Right. We were kind of panicked. We had just talked with a guy, a really sketchy dude in a Jeep, and we were not totally sure. And so we were kind of afraid that maybe he had stolen something, because your bike was actually around the curve.
Yeah.
It was a really strange situation. And so you thought maybe he'd stolen it.
I was tired. I wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah. So our truck keys were in it. Your wallet was in it.
My wallet wasn't in it.
Oh, it wasn't in it. Oh, was it just the truck keys? Okay, I was panicked about the truck keys. So then I ended up walking back up the hill and fortunately found the backpack.
Yeah.
And so.
But just that example is exactly why. I mean, shows like just how exhausted and tired we were. This was 2/3 through the day by this point. So we were
That was
beat.
right after Watermelon Hill.
Yeah. We were just beat and exhausted. And, things were, we were running at 60% maybe. It's just we're forgetting stuff, leaving things behind that I, don't normally would.
Yeah.
Also, learned a couple things. Just never leave your keys in the backpack. Always keep your certain things on you at all times.
Yeah.
But it's just, we just learned a lot that day.
Yeah. And I think also, you were like, oh my gosh, the guy stole it. And I was like, I'm just going to go walk and see if it's up there. And that's where, you were kind of in this panic mode of like, oh my gosh, one, now we don't have water. We actually ran out of water that day. So one, you're like, I'm not going to have water. Two, we've just lost my, the truck keys. And so it was that moment of like, it's okay. I will walk back up.
Yeah.
You rest.
Yeah. You checked me there.
Yeah. And it's this constant back and forth of like, there was this trail is just, it's everything. Cause it really did test us. There was a section where I needed you to just help. I don't remember if you rode or if our friend wrote it up, but either way, like we were on comms and you're like, do you want me to just get this for you? And I was like, I would love for you to.
Yeah.
Cause you can also see now when I begin to hesitate, right? Like, I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's how long I hesitate for, or maybe it's the way that I'm breathing. I do talk to myself. And yeah, you know when to offer up your services.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah. And it's nice because I feel like usually by the time you offer up help, it's because you know that I do need it. Yeah. You're not constantly trying to help me all the time. Which is nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to run towards you every time and baby you, if you will.
No,
no. I know that's the wrong thing to do. But there's a times where I'll just check and be like, hey, you want me to take care of this? And maybe you do the same with me. You get enough water on board. You doing okay? Where are you at right now? That's one of the things we use. Is where are you at?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Ready to take a break? Yeah, I did a break. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because there's times where we've been riding for a couple hours and sometimes I'm just in the mode and want to keep going. And you're like, no, we should stop for a bit. I'm like, you're right. We should stop for a bit. Because that also happened to Lockhart. That was not only the heat and the difficult terrain and so on, but it was so fun. The trail was such a blast to ride that, I was with this, we're in this big group, but we kind of separated into smaller groups, and me and these two other guys were just flying, just having the best time. And then it started getting warmer and warmer, and all of a sudden I started getting tired. And then I just, like the adrenaline was going into the fun, we were just having a blast.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a couple hours in, and we're like, oh man, I'm tired. I'm actually really tired.
Yeah.
And because it just all started coming to a head, just the environment, the heat, the terrain, and it just.
When I think the thing that got scary for me with Lockhart is that was my second round with heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
And so by the time it hit me, I had a little bit better of an idea of what was going on. Unfortunately, we had a paramedic with us.
Yeah.
And so he was wonderful, helping me out. But being in that moment where I was like, I'm in heat exhaustion and now I'm a liability to the rest of the group. And once you started to become really exhausted, it was challenging for me because I knew that I was just dead weight at that point. That
there's another guy too that fell in it too. He also had pretty good heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
Another guy,
yeah. And so it's like, that's the part that I think is really challenging when you are supposed to be a part of the team and then you get knocked out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right. And so heat exhaustion is definitely one of those that will rattle you for the rest of the day and into the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel pretty crappy.
Yeah, you can't recover from that.
No, it's not a quick recovery. And so that was hard because when I saw you struggling, I think I verbalized it, but there wasn't anything I could actually do for you, other than just say, hey, make sure you're drinking water. I think we ran out of water on that one too.
Yeah.
So this is like a theme.
Well, that was the last. Well, yeah. Our close friend Neil, told us.
Yeah.
He told us this a couple of years ago. Is like always take at least 6 liters of water, no matter what you're riding.
We didn't do that.
No, we didn't. But
no.
Also, that one trail was only 27 miles, and then Lockhart was Lockhart. But when we left, it was only 58 degrees. It was cold.
Right.
But then it got up to 98 when we got into Lockhart.
Yeah, but then it was cold when we got back because it was dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dumping rain.
Desert.
But anyway, yeah. So great experiences.
Great experiences. And you and I are fortunate in that we actually ride at a very similar level.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be kind of a theoretical. Generally speaking, the one partner is going to have more skill than the other, right? And that's usually just due to how long one's been riding over the other. If I had less skill, how would that impact you? Like, let's say you're a level 3 rider, and what if I was like a level 1 rider? How would you navigate that?
Of course, we would pick trails that, number one, I'd make sure that we're doing trails that you're able to get through, they're at your level, and that's not going to hinder me either, and that's one, because you're my partner. I want to ride with you. And so it's not like you're dragging me down in any way, because I want you to, the only way to get better is to ride and get in those trails and hopefully come to some challenging points where it tests you and you learn and get better and better and better. Right. And so it doesn't hinder me at all. I actually really enjoy being in that space. I enjoy being the support there. And especially when you've been in those challenging situations or so on. But, if you were, we would just pick trails that were comfortable for you or just challenging enough. And then to grow and grow and grow from there. So that's one thing we've both seen on the trails with couples and friends, buddies, when one's a better rider than the other and the other one has the ego or whatever, and then just tries to push the other one to get through stuff.
Right.
And we've both seen it, I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, that's not good. And because now your friend or partner is putting you in jeopardizing your safety. Really.
Right.
And that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good question, because that really describes how that relationship is. Because, because we have two friends of ours right now, that are, one's a really great rider, awesome rider, amazing guy. And his wife also, she's an amazing person, and she just got into riding.
Yeah.
And she's excelling amazingly.
Yeah.
But she's still in the beginning stages, but she's great. She's good. But it's really fun to watch them because he is just so supportive.
And that's what is going to be their success.
Exactly.
Is right. How they support each other.
Exactly. And you can see it every time they communicate. They're very similar to us. They want to do that together. He's just excited. She's on the bike and doing it. She's excited to be doing it. They're excited to get, it's just like us. And so it's really fun to see that.
Yeah.
And like, that's how it should be done.
Yeah.
So it's important, but one of the things that's really hard to see and watch when it doesn't work like that. Yeah. But how do you even communicate that to them? And it's not usually with couples so much. We don't see couples that often, in these situations, here and there.
Riding buddies.
But you see riding buddies in those situations more often. And then they complain about each other or whatever, or like, oh, he shouldn't have been on this trail or whatever.
Or it breaks up the relationship.
Yeah, Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, we have seen where one partner pushes the other partner to try to do the thing with them and they just don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
And that can lead to a dangerous situation. I mean, just like what you're talking about. Like if you've got one person who's like, come on, like we can do this, like just do it, like come on, it can go sideways real fast.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of, it's so funny that 7 years isn't that long, but 7 years, like we've done a lot of adventure riding in 7 years. And I'm trying to think of a story where you and I like got frustrated with each other out on the trail. I can't. There have been some that you have called me out and I've needed it.
Yeah.
You know, and you've done it again, you've done it in a very loving way. And because you and I have so much respect for each other and trust for each other, I took it on the chin and was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I don't know that I've ever thrown a fit like that since.
No, it's been like once or twice. It's only been a couple of times that we were in those situations where I've just, and that's such a fascinating place to be as a partner because balance will be just talked about. And then you come back to a space where you shouldn't be, or a space to where you're acting, the way you're acting or reacting to a situation. I don't want to say it's inappropriate, but you're more than that, right? It is a place where no, this is not okay. No, you're better than this.
Yeah.
And you're complaining about a situation to where you have done numerous times, and your complaining is not going to help either of us, right?
Yeah.
And it's only been a couple of times, but it's good. Sometimes you do have to. And the thing is, it wasn't about your skill. It wasn't about what you did. It was about how you were acting.
And you said that, like you made that clear and that was the other thing too, is when you communicated this to me, you were like, you have done this 1,000 times. Like, get your brain right.
Yeah.
Get your attitude back in place.
Yeah.
You didn't say it quite like that, but you came at me from a very loving place of like, I love you. You've done this before, but let me talk straight with you.
Exactly.
And like I said, I took it on the chin and I was frustrated, but then I realized that being frustrated at you wasn't really what I was frustrated about. I was frustrated with myself, and I was frustrated with just that day of riding, so on and so forth. And so again, it's one of those where it's like, because we can do that in those situations, because I had to get myself through that. Like I had to figure it out and I had to ride out. Like that was the option.
Yeah. I remember an example.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, this is actually one time we were just out training on the west side
This
in
is the one I'm talking about.
The deep sand.
Yeah.
And we went down into on the other side of the mesa.
Yep.
And it was deep sand, like deep sand. And there was no run outs. And we had to get back up the hill.
Yeah.
Which would be tough for anyone, right? Unless you're expert level 10 rider that just, could get through anything. For most people, especially on a 550-pound bike, like this is difficult for anyone. And you were getting so frustrated with yourself, you couldn't get the bike started in the sand. I was like, you need to get it together, because this is not just you. This is everybody that gets through this stuff. Is not easy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why can't I can do this? You were just so mad at yourself.
I think I started crying.
Yeah, you started crying, and I'm like, you need to get it together, because this is hard for anyone. And the fact that we got up and got out of it was awesome. And then you were complaining about it when we got up there. I was like, no.
It was after we had gotten up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was after we gotten up, and that's when I called you out on it. But it was good, because I came out of my comfort zone to tell you how it was, how you were acting, which I rarely do, because I have a fear of doing that, because now
But we've gotten so much better about it.
But no, then later you're like, thank you so much for calling me out on it, because that's where you needed it. And it was a learning experience for both of us.
Yeah.
That situation.
How long had we been together at that point? 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, it was only 3 or 4 years in.
Yeah. I had the Ducati at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I was on the BMW still.
You were on the BMW at the time.
So yes, it had to have been probably year 3.
Yeah.
If not 2. But, and it's interesting too, because was that the same day where you were also struggling to get up that hill?
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I remember just being on comms with you and just having to it's okay, try again. Like, it's okay, try again.
Yep.
You're almost there. Come on.
Yep.
And, and it's interesting because I sometimes wonder, am I being helpful?
Yeah. Yeah.
like when I do those things, when you're getting all flustered because you were mad.
Yeah.
Does it help? Does it help for me to just be like, it's okay, you can do this, take a breather, or do you just block me out?
That's a great question. There's a times where I do listen, other times where I'm not listening. I literally just block you out because I'm focused on what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And I get so mentally in that space that I just stop. I actually literally just stop listening to everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I listen to what I'm telling myself what I need to do. And so it goes both ways. Sometimes it does help because you're like egging me on. You're getting me excited to go and like just supporting me. I'm like, okay, and it gets me up and, it builds me up.
Yeah.
So it works. So it all depends. Every situation is a little bit different, So it's.
Yeah. So here's a question. Comms between romantic partners.
Great question. Mm-hmm.
So and I think it's because I'm female, I just want to chat all the time about all the things. And I've gotten better, but over the years, I sometimes use that as a way to conversationally attack you about something I've been wanting to talk about, and doing that on the trail is not the appropriate time. I've learned this. I've gotten better. But how do you feel about having being on comms with me as your romantic partner versus being on comms with a buddy?
Man, that's a great question. It's been a little while since I've been on comms with a buddy of mine. There's a times where we spend so much time together. There are times where and we ask each other, you want to be on comms today? Yeah, I'll be fine. We'll be on comms today. No, I don't want to be on comms today. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's times where I just want to be quiet for a while, right? Because we're on the trail, we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. And
sometimes I just don't want to be distracted from that, and talk about anything that's at home or anything, if the sponges in the sink or not or whatever, But with a buddy, I mean, I've gotten some really deep conversations with we have too, obviously, but with some buddies too, to where we're crying in our helmets.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So it's different, but there are times, it's all different. There are times where it's laughing or having a blast. The best time to be on comms, especially with a partner or a buddy, is when the trail is difficult, or it's high speed, and there's obstacles coming up, because then you could say, hey, pothole to the left, tree to the right, there's a washout coming up on the right, be careful. Okay, cool, because then the other one knows to avoid them, and then you're a little more comfortable, and you can actually speed up and have a little bit more fun, because when you're in front, you're constantly looking and watching, especially on a trail you don't know. Or even if you do know, it could be a washout just right up there.
Totally.
And we're going 60 miles an hour down the road. And so it's, being on comms, especially with a partner, there's most of the time it's great. It's fine. And other times you just don't need to be.
Yeah.
And that's an understanding we have. And it's okay.
That took time for me.
Yeah.
At first, I wanted to be on comms with you all the time. You laugh because this is true.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on comms with you all the time. And then I went through a phase where I would ask you if you wanted music or if you wanted to connect. And when you would choose music, I'd be mad at you because you chose the wrong thing.
Yeah, so that's not the right answer.
Wrong.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is I would be fuming in my helmet.
Yeah.
And frustrated that I couldn't say whatever it is I needed to say to you.
Yeah.
And it was sometimes because I inappropriately wanted to talk about things. And sometimes it was because I wanted to tell you, hey, there's something coming up. And it's just taken me time to get really comfortable not being connected.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not even sure exactly where it came from. The only thing I can really attribute it to is building up my own confidence. And I mean confidence for me, not as an adventure rider. Because I have felt, again, because we're at such a close skill level, that I've not been too worried about that. And to your point, yes, when the trail does get tough or we're scouting, we're always connected.
Yeah.
Right? Because we need to
For
communicate.
sure.
But for example, if we're in a group and you're like, I want to connect with this guy. And I'm like, but what about me?
Mhm.
And then I just felt left out. And having had that exposure over and over and over again, and then coming to the end of the trail and you still love me.
Yeah.
Like it's taught
it's not
me.
over.
Yeah, it's not over. That you're, and that you, that you still love me. It's a funny thing to say out loud because it seems so trivial, but it has been really important to me.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of that communication part where at times when you're like, nah, I'd rather just listen to music. I'm like, it's because he doesn't actually want to talk to me. And I've had to reframe that and be like, no, he just wants time to ride his motorcycle and be by himself.
Listen to music or be on comms with a buddy of mine I haven't seen in a year.
Exactly.
And be like, it's okay. Yeah.
And so that is, we've seen this too. We've seen this in I think it happens more so in romantic couples than it does in buddy pairs, is the over dependence on each other. Yeah. And it's not even that one person is overly dependent, but it's also that sometimes the other person is like overly, I don't know what word I would use, overly supportive, overly supportive.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Right. Where they're just like, oh, I'll help you. I'll do everything for you. And so then it builds this really strange thing where I feel like the comms has really been the only time that I have felt a little over dependent with you, where it's like, I want to be on comms with you. And over the 7 years of riding together, I've gotten really comfortable with you just being like, nah, I'd rather listen to music. And again, it comes down to, we're putting our helmets on and we're like, do you want to connect? Nah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But then usually what happens is by the time we get to the trail, then we'll connect.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then the cool thing too is I think your comm still plays music so long as that we're not talking.
Yeah.
Right. And so then there will be times where we're connected, but we haven't spoken to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the other piece that that has just built over time. One of the things I think is really neat that you and I have been able to be very successful about, and we've had conversations about this, is each of ours personal pursuits and opportunities to go and do things individually.
Yes.
I recognize the importance it is for you to be able to go and do things with your friends without me.
We don't have to do it all together.
Right.
Always. Yeah.
And because I understand, and I think this is partly because I'm a coach, like I understand how the whole dynamic changes when you add one different gender. So if it's all women and one guy, it changes things.
Yeah.
And if it's all men and one woman, it changes things. And so it's like, it can't be a guy weekend when the wives are there, or even I'm there. And, I'll be like, yeah, you can go ride with your friends, but I'm jealous.
Yeah.
And I think I tell you that every single time.
Yeah.
I let you know. And it's a loving, fun thing where I'm like super jealous that you get to go. But there have been plenty of times where I've gone and done things, partly because of my career, where you don't get to go. Not because I don't want you to go, it's just that you cannot go.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you're bringing this up, because during that time, even though we were really supportive of our careers and our space, and you were out riding and you were a tour guide and a coach, and that's what you did, and it was your job. That's what but yeah, at the time I was jealous, and not all the time, because I understood also, like, this is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some times where, I would get jealous about it or frustrated, because you're out riding, you're out exploring, all these beautiful parts of the country, and at the same time working in and taking care of handling people, and we had those conversations later about it. It's just, and other times I'd want to go ride and you couldn't go, or, we rode so many times together, there was and then, but yeah, then it came, and then after that, when I would go ride, but then your work wouldn't allow you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little bit of a shift there. I think you had a little harder time with it, or you just realized what space I was in before.
I think it was kind of getting like a taste of my own medicine. Yeah.
And that's when we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing. Through all this whole situation, we talked about it. We didn't build up resentment, and we might have been a little bit during some time, because this happened over a long time period.
Yeah.
So then we'd have the conversation, but we talked about it and we worked through it, and it was just something we had to. But we came to a point too where now, like, hey, I'm going to go to do this. Okay, yes, I'm jealous you're going, but have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other times too, where I want to go to do something and I want you to come, but I can't come. I got to do this. Okay. So it's that balance, but we have to let each other do that.
Yeah. We
have to be able to be supportive in that, and also not calling each other every day and be like, how's the ride going today? It's fine. I'm hanging out with my friends. We have that understanding too, is that, hey, I know you're going to have a great time. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Yeah. And that took time for us to build too, of just being like, do not feel obligated to reach out to me.
Yeah.
The only time that I feel like you and I have reached out intentionally every single evening is when we're out of range.
Yeah.
Right? Where we are having to use satellite communication.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Love you.
Exactly.
Have a great night. And that's just a nice peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
Just knowing like, okay, he's good. He's made it to camp, et cetera, et cetera. And I would do the same. I just let you know, like, hey, this is where I'm at.
Yeah. That was made just out of safety and concern.
And here's an interesting one. So I have gone on a handful of solo things.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always found it, honestly, I have found it somewhat fascinating that you are comfortable and confident enough in me and in yourself to just be like, okay,
mm-hmm.
and off I go. And I love that because I need that kind of space sometimes to just do my own thing. And I do enjoy solo travel. And, when I rode my bike from Oregon back to New Mexico, it was that, and I was camping the whole time,
mm-hmm.
And I know that some people, again, I think it's kind of that over dependence, over safety piece of just like, you got to be in a hotel, you got to have behind locked door. And like, I'm just camping and I don't exactly know where I am.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Well, it really comes down to trust.
Right.
And being able to trust your partner, and because I know you've done that so many times. Mm-hmm. Like, you're a better camper and a better solo rider than I am. Like, you really enjoy that, and you do it. Mm-hmm. And I admire you for it. Mm-hmm. It's not something I really enjoy doing. I like to go with people. Just my thing.
Yeah.
But like, I know you can handle yourself. I know you can ride, obviously. But I know you know where to put yourself in safe positions. So yeah, I trust you with that, and I don't worry so much about it. I mean, yeah, there's a small part of me worry about you, of course does, because I'm just your husband.
Yeah.
Just mainly of other people, obviously. Just, but I know you'll reach out to me. I know you'll handle yourself, but I have to be able to trust you, and which I do. I don't have to, but because we need to have that. You and I also are very independent that way too. Mm-hmm. We like to do things on our own. that don't include each other, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to allow ourselves to have that, because if either one of us didn't allow each other to have that, this wouldn't really work out very well.
Right.
And we understand that too. So it's just like, no, she's going to go off and do her thing. And you're like, I've had numerous friends, it's pretty common, and most people don't allow their partner to do that thing because they just don't. And it's probably just culture, how we're raised, or whatever it is. But they're like, you allowed your wife's just going to go ride by herself for a week down there? And like, yeah. It's like, you okay with that? And yeah, of course I'm okay with it. Like, she'll be fine. If she needs me, she'll call me. It's like, wow, okay. And just to see people react that way, it's not surprising, and it's also just like, yeah, I feel sorry for you in a certain way. I'm like, you got to be able to allow your partner some freedom.
Yeah.
And let them do things on their own, because we're together and married to live this, to live our rest of our lives together. We're also individual, independent human beings, that there are things that you're going to do and I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to support each other in that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
Yeah. And again, that just like, we're talking about adventure riding and solo riding and that sort of thing, but so much of this bleeds into our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Of how we trust each other, how we communicate about things, and just how we navigate hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I have worked really hard on gaining those communication tools and those skills. I just feel like adventure riding has expedited that process.
Yeah.
Because over and over and over again, it has put us in hard situations where we do feel vulnerable, or we do have an issue, or we are a little bit scared, where I think like in just a day-to-day living situation, you don't run into that.
Or we're acting inappropriately. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's like, for example, the exhaustion and the fear that happened on our last ride, where we really challenged ourselves and challenged each other. Where are we going to find that in our real lives? Like in our non-motorcycling lives,
for sure.
right? Like where we
We're
have
not.
to make those kinds of decisions together and have to help and support each other and have that kind of vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think we went kind of through all of it. I don't think I was as happy to see pavement as I've ever been on that particular ride.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, we're done.
Yeah. Let's go back to the hotel.
Let's go back. And then we actually went home a day early.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's the cool thing about it, is like, because of the adventure riding, it expedites the building of our relationship.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
It just grows us closer.
Yeah.
We've experienced things that together that, as you said, we wouldn't experience at home cooking, together.
Unless maybe there was like a fire in the kitchen or something, or someone dropped a knife on someone's foot.
Yeah, or there's a tornado coming through and the house is being torn apart and we're like, what should we do? And everybody got to team up and save the house. We'd figure that out.
Well, hopefully we don't have a tornado that comes through.
No, that's why we live in Albuquerque. Don't have to worry about that.
Right. Just drought.
Yeah.
Just drought. Well, thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah, this has been great.
And you will not get away from other podcasts. You'll have more episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's going to be really fun to talk about this amazing sport we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again for
You're
being
welcome.
here.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode about Chris and my experience riding adventure with our romantic partner. And again, please, if you have anything that you want to drop down in the comments, you can go ahead and do so. Share what your experience has been riding with your romantic partner. Thank you again for listening to Two Track and Tarmac. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider sharing it with a friend and maybe subscribing. If you are interested in more motorcycle-related content, such as videos, tutorials, and my monthly newsletter, you can subscribe to the Clear Moto Patreon page. Your support, both through the podcast and through Patreon, helps me to continue doing what I enjoy doing, which is sharing my motorcycle knowledge with you. Again, thank you so much for joining me here at Two Track and Tarmac, and I look forward to having you in the next one.